Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back to our Friday review. Great to have you here today. Looking forward to diving right into our end of the week show, going over all of the best from the week. One of the great things about being able to do the podcast on a daily basis is that each day can be its own specific topic and we can really dive deep. And I'll be talking about some of the shows that we did this week, but I also love this Friday show where we get to talk about 7, 8, 9 different topics, go over book reviews like the book that I'll be chatting about here today, go over a new glucometer, I would say like the second wave now, or maybe even third wave of glucometers, how to do it a lot less painfully. So you can check your glucose on a daily basis if you choose to. So much going on here on today's show. Can't wait to be able to share this with you. Of course, you can watch this on video. If you haven't already subscribed, we would love you to subscribe over on YouTube. That's just at my name, Stephen Cabral. You'll be able to find my YouTube channel there. And of course, feel free to leave a comment. We love being able to hear from you as well. So let's dive right into today's show. I always start with the updates from the week. Just a couple updates that I did want to be able to bring you. And that was, if I didn't already mention it, we have a brand new podcast that's just for the coaches out there. So if you are a personal trainer, if you're a nutritionist, a registered dietitian, a nurse, a doctor, a health coach, regardless of the organization, we try to give you our best tips on how to really build a practice that you love doing, and find the people that you most enjoy serving. So we teach you essentially from A to Z on this weekly podcast what to do to build up your specific career, your specific practice, working with those people that you enjoy helping the most. So it's a really fun podcast for the health coaches out there, and it's called the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. So you can just go to ihp.coach, so ihp.coach/podcasts, and you'll be able to find that brand new podcast. By now, we've got about 5 shows out. Every Monday, there's a show for me, and really teaching you what I wish I had learned if I was just starting out as a health coach and how to make it in this particular field. And then on the Thursday show, my co-host, we have Julia Hayes, who is my head health coach in our practice, taking you through interviews from guest experts all around the world and how they run their practice. So it's not just about me teaching you, it's really success principles from around the world as health coaches, again, nutritionists, personal trainers, doctors, acupuncturists, you name it. It's the A to Z approach of how to get started, how to take your practice to that next level, and then of course, giving back, sharing tips with our other community members as well. So feel free to check that out again at ihp.coach/podcasts, and you'll be able to find all of the podcasts right there. All right. Next up, I wanted to make sure that you were aware April 5th, not too many weeks from now, not too far from now, that is our spring detox. We do hope that you join us every 12 weeks, every season. That is the season. We have thousands of people from around the world, not just the US, but around the world, completing our functional medicine detox. You can find details of that detox at equi.life, equa.life/detox. That's equa.life/detox. And you'll be able to discover much more about why I believe, and I've seen in my practice for the past decade, more than a decade now, how a functional medicine detox can absolutely revolutionize your health, your weight, your aging-based processes, and get them on a much better track. So we have a free detox course. If you haven't gone through that, you can just go to equi.life. That's our website, equa.life/detox-course. And we'll link that up as well today. All the show notes will be at stephencabral.com/1869. The new podcast for health coaches, the functional medicine detox going on April 5th. And I also want to let you know, if you purchase a 7, 14, or 21-day detox this week from Equa.life, you will actually get a free bottle of gluten and dairy support, which is an enzyme specifically formulated to help you and your kids, if you want, break down gluten, dairy, and even beans, vegan-based proteins, to a much better degree to leave you with less bloating, less indigestion. All right. So free bottle, $39.95 complimentary value. And that is over at Equa.life. Let's go over the shows from this week. So on Monday, episode 1865 was using a new frame of thinking to be able to accomplish the most ridiculous goals you could ever imagine for yourself. So right now, you might be thinking of goals that you've set for yourself, and they just seem too big. They seem too far off in the future. While I give you a methodology for being able to rewire the brain to make it so much easier to accomplish those goals and actually make you think that they are achievable. Check that out. That's episode 1865. Then on Tuesday, episode 1866, this was a big one. And it's just basically going back to that first principles thinking of, is there one particular nutrient above all other nutrients potentially that might be best for this particular virus, as well as the recovery from post-viral based issues? Talking about that fatigue, that issues with taste and smell dissipating. So check that out. That was episode 1866. 1877, why you may regain weight after a fast, detox, or specific type of elimination diet. Definitely check that out. That was episode 1867. And yesterday, our interview with Ashley Stahl, a really great one. So hopefully you check that out, and all the different wisdom she was able to impart on us on success overall in life, being able to achieve what it is you set out for yourself. So that was a great interview. Check those out. And then of course today, episode 1869. So StephenCabral.com/podcast for all podcasts, and episode 1869 for today's show and show notes. So I want to go through a brand new glucometer for you first here today, before we get to our book review. And I actually want to show you how to use a glucometer. So if you've never used a glucometer before, that's okay. Why would you ever want to use a glucometer? Well, I've got a few podcasts on that will link up. But really, to make sure that your fasting glucose every single morning is between about a 75 and a 95 maximum, in order to make sure that you are burning body fat overnight and that you're not dealing with too many inflammatory based principles. So, I typically, people in my practice, I love it to be between 75 and 90 milligrams per deciliter, okay? But again, we want to make sure that if you're trying to burn body fat, or if you're trying to stay as healthy as possible, you want it below that 90 ideally when you wake up. So what about if you're not waking up? Like, I didn't wake up. I had breakfast a couple hours ago. So about 2 hours ago or so, well, within 3 hours after a meal, your blood sugar should then be back down to between that 75 and 95 milligrams per deciliter. Okay, what if it's above, 140 or so? That means that your body's not processing that glucose as well as it should, and there's an issue with those cell receptors, with insulin, with cortisol, with many other issues in the body that you can work with a practitioner on. So I'm going to show you how this works. The company that I'm using right here is Renfo. I will link that up for you. And the reason why I chose this company as a new one to use is it actually comes with a glucose solution so that you can put this to the test. Almost nobody does this. So you can actually calibrate to make sure that it works, right? That this machine is actually working. So the nice thing is, I've used that. It is able to work. And the other reason why I like this is that they actually send you this kit right here. And I've already taken it apart. My desk is always a giant mess of stuff. But they send you a kit. And inside of this kit right here, if you're watching on video, are, I think, around 100 lancets, which is pretty impressive, right? So you don't need to buy extra. And they also send you 2 sets of test strips. And let's see, there's 100 test strips as well. So, I mean, this is pretty phenomenal. I think it's like $30 or so, maybe $40 maximum for this, but I actually think it's even less expensive. And all you're going to do is use this device right here, which you insert your lancet in. Here's the great thing. Again, if you're watching this on video, great, you'll be able to see this. If not, it's okay as well. But you're actually able to set this setting right here. See if you can see that. It says 1, that you can dictate how far the actual needle, the lancet, goes into your finger. So if you have thinner skin and you don't even want to feel really a prick at all, you'll set it at 1. That's it. It's so gentle. And you could use this again with children, with anybody that needs it. And it goes all the way up to a 5. So let's say your skin is more calloused, you don't get blood very well because your poor circulation, whatever it might be, you could set it all the way to a 5. I'm going to set this just at a 2 today for me. So my skin, I wouldn't say is thick or too rough overall, and I don't want, again, you don't want any more of a pinch than you need. That's it. I'm not like the superhuman individual that loves taking my blood all the time. That's for sure. But what we do here, and I'll just show you right now, is we're actually going to pop this top right off. All right, this should come right off. 2. And there we go, twist. All right, so here's the old lancet that I've used before, just to say I actually do use this device. And I'm gonna take one of these lancets right out of the package. I think I have an open package here, okay? So these are just one-time use lancets. You can see them, little tiny blue. You just take the top right off, and you'll see the little needle at the top, right? The little sterile syringe here. We're gonna pop this right in. You'll hear it click down. Now we put the top back on, and that top is just going to go in line with this little gray button, and I'm going to put the 2 right in the middle. Okay, make sure it shifts back to the 2, twist it on, and we're all set to go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a test strip, and it has an arrow pointing in. I'm going to take this test strip, and I'm going to push it right into where it says the company's name, Renfo. It should pop on, okay? And the code 14 is normal because these are code 14 test strips. And what I'm gonna do now is just take this lancet and just jab my finger, keep it right against it, and press the button. That click is me getting a little bit of blood out of my finger here. I use the side of my finger. You're welcome to use the tip of your finger if you'd like. I'm gonna work a little blood up. Okay, you can kind of see that on the side of my finger. And once I've got a drop about a couple times the size of the head of a pin, you can see it right there now. That's all that I need. I'm going to actually touch it just to the tip of this test strip. And there it is, the beep. And let's see, the moment of truth of what we get. 66. Okay, so my blood's at 66 milligrams per deciliter. I'll show you right there. Okay, that's about, what time is it right now? About 2.5 hours after breakfast. So as you can see, I am someone that's definitely more prone to what? Lower blood sugar, right? Because that's below a 70, and you don't really want to drop too much below a 70 because it's your body then not having as much glucose. And if needed, well, then if I'm in a state of fight or flight, which I'm not, your body's going to have to ramp up glucocorticoids, namely cortisol, in order to break down more liver glycogen. So for me, it means that it's lunchtime, which, by the way, it is lunchtime right after this podcast. So it's a great way to be able to test your glucose after a meal or upon waking as well. So great device. Again, that is normal for me if I go a good strong 3-4 hours that I start to drop into lower blood sugar, which is why, by the way, not one diet works for every individual. Many people can go 6 hours between meals. It's not the best always for my body because why? What does it do? Well, it puts more stress on a body. So that's why I just want to show you, this is the ejection button. I'm not going to show you that, but you can eject this right into the trash so you don't have to touch the test strip at all. So a really nice device, and I will link up where to get it. And if there's any coupon codes, of course, I'll link that up here as well. So hopefully that's helpful. Really nice device, super simple. Now you get 100 lancets, and I'm not someone that needs to check my blood sugar again every morning, but if you check it after multiple meals as well, you know, these 100 lancets and 100 test strips will come in really handy, and so you don't have to buy more. All right, that is that. Next up is the Regenerate book by Sire G, I believe is how he pronounces his name. Probably going to have Sour, I believe, on the podcast as well. Really great mind, like the way that he thinks. And this book really takes you through a lot of anti-aging based principles and what I like to call first base principles. So he goes through basically the new biology revolution, food is information, the like beyond gene mutation and nutrigenomics, meaning your genetics, looking at lifestyle medicine for brain health, understanding heart health and cholesterol and different medications, reversing metabolic disease. And then he actually takes you through something that very much resembles our liver and gallbladder cleanse. Now, that's different than a functional medicine detox, but he takes you through almost like an ancient Ayurvedic principle of just using apples, and we know from malic acid to loosen up the bile in the body. So it's an interesting book. It is worth your read. I mean, it really is. It's worth your while, worth your time, worth your read. And let's see, it's a longer book. It's kind of like a rain barrel effect book. Well, maybe not that long, which is probably a good thing. 288 pages. And I think that you'll see a lot of similarities with what we teach here on the Cabral concept, a lot of interesting work. And again, I think that's for sure. You're going to get a lot of great information out of it on mitochondrial health, on actually raw food for increasing your own natural stem cells, how FAIR can fuel cancer. Just a lot of information in this, and I can definitely give it a good recommendation for sure. So check this out, Regenerate, Unlocking Your Body's Radical Resilience Through the New Biology. Nothing too radical except teaching great, long-standing health-based principles. All right, so if you're looking for a new book, check this out, Regenerate. All right, last up for the day, we are going through our research for the day. Every single Friday, I bring you 2 research studies. The first one is not necessarily a research study, but I believe that if we do not remember our history, if we're not students of history, if we do not remember the past, we are destined to either live through it again or repeat it. And I want to share with you, and you can look this up on your own, okay? It's called the Flexner Report. I don't know, some of you probably have heard of it before, especially if you're in the natural health field, especially if you're a chiropractor. But let me take you through it. So this is from the Flexner Report. It was created way back in the day by John D. Rockefeller. And what they did was they basically partnered with conventional medicine and pharmaceuticals. This is, again, going back to the earlier 1900s. And what they felt was that there was too much competition. Okay, so too much competition from too many naturopaths, again, the traditional naturopaths back then, and the rise of chiropractors as well as homeopathic-based doctors. Again, this is in the early 1900s. I believe the Flexner Report was published in the early 1900s, around 1910. But it was this. So in order to lower competition and increase profits from pharmaceuticals, they hired Abraham Flexner to evaluate medical schools in America. And in 1910, yes, so there we go, 1910, the Abraham Flexner, published a report that stated that there were too many medical schools and doctors being trained. Flexner deemed allopathic medical schools to be the gold standard, which caused the closure of all but 2 historically black medical schools and most holistic health schools, including naturopathic and osteopathic, as well as a fight against then chiropractors as well. So what happened was they were no longer given funding, right? They were no longer giving funding or certification, a lot of what we see here today. So the effects of the Flexner Report live on today and contribute to the inferior view of natural health. Now remember, there was natural health before the 1900s, before the pharmaceutical-based revolution. I'm not saying that pharmaceuticals don't have their time and place. They absolutely do. But you don't have heart disease or high cholesterol because of a lack of statins in your body. You don't have high blood pressure because of a lack of beta blockers or calcium channel blockers. You don't have all of these things because of that pharmaceutical is lacking. What we have here are a host of underlying root cause imbalances that only natural health looks at. Right? So when you start to see that this school is better than this school, this certification is better than that one, this degree is better than that one, you have to be careful with that, right? You have to be really careful because we need our medical doctors. There's no doubt about it. but we also need our naturopathic doctors. We also need our DCs, right? Our doctor of chiropractic. We also need our DOs, our doctor of osteopathy. So we need all of these modalities. We need our health coaches. We need our integrative health practitioners. We need our registered dietitians. We need our personal trainers. One is not necessarily better than another. So I want you to always remember this, that who gets to make the rules are those with the most power. Those with the most power are in the United States government. So they hired someone, they paid for it to push their interests, which were at the time pharmaceuticals, and still are, by the way, to this day. So I just want to share that with you. You can look it up on your own, but it's very, very devious, and it happens all the time. All right, second research coming to you that's a little disturbing as well, but it goes back to knowing the source of your food, supplements, etc. So let's look at this. This has to do with food. So I'm going to read it to you specifically, but a massive regulatory loophole allows companies to falsely and yet legally claim their imported beef comes from our pastures. Very interesting. So this began in 2015 when the government and the USDA rolled back country of origin labeling, that's the COOL, for beef and pork-based products, allowing meat to be sold without disclosing its home country on the label. That decision, which angered many American ranchers, has further muddied the waters in a way no one quite anticipated. Under the current rules, beef and pork products that are shipped to the United States and processed further here can be labeled product of USA, even if the animal was raised on a continent or raised a continent away. That means a steer slaughtered in Uruguay and broken down into steaks at a meatpacking plant in Colorado is technically American meat, even if it isn't. So this is pretty insane, because essentially an animal that never took a breath on U.S. soil can be called a product of the United States. So when you're looking at packaging, they can have an American flag on it and beef there or pork that says product of the USA. And you think, well, this came from our great ranchers here in the United States. And the truth is that may not be true. So it might come from, again, any country, and they might not be practicing the best grass-fed, grass-finished, pastured-based meat processes. It may not be humanely raised. It might not be part of a sustainable agricultural-based farm. So what I can tell you is this. You just can't trust your government. And that's because here's the thing. I don't always think that like they're trying to do the worst. That's not the truth at all. Not at all. I think that we do help a lot of people, but we also harm a lot of people because the government is made up of people. They're made up of individuals with their own interests. And a lot of these interests come from they want to make money. And so what happens is while they're in Congress, while they're a senator, while they're whatever, they pass bills, they pass certain acts, they repeal certain things. And then when they leave Senate, when they leave Congress, when they leave government, they get hired onto these boards being paid millions of dollars a year. And again, this is not, I didn't make this up. This is actual research. So they might get paid, well, $150,000, $250,000, whatever you get paid as a senator. But then they go on to make, if they vote effectively for these companies, they go sit in the board and make a couple $1 million a year. That is how they get around it. That is how they get paid by lobbyists. So it's pretty disturbing. This is a real thing. So what do? You get to know where your food comes from. That's the bottom line. You get to know where your food comes from. I always say, know where your supplements come from, but you also want to know where your food comes from as well. So you want to work with companies that you trust. In the future, I'll bring you more companies out there that are, doing and raising animals the right way. Again, of course, if you're vegan, you're not going to be eating these foods, but you can absolutely know, hey, this farm that I'm buying from is actually in the United States. There it is. And I'm getting it local. And I'm getting it grass fed for beef, and I'm getting it pastured for chickens, and for I guess pork would be considered more pastured. It's certainly not grass based, and that's how the best way to know. So go to your farmers markets, try to purchase local whenever possible, support your local small farmers, be very leery and weary, as I always say, of these labels, these false labeling of the country of origin. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, always feel free to share this information whenever it's helpful with anyone you believe it could serve. Today's show notes are at stephencabral.com/1869. Take care, everyone. I'll talk with you tomorrow on our weekend house calls. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show, and I have something exciting to share with you. Every quarter, just like every single natural health method and modality has taught, we do a functional medicine detox. We do a seasonal detox. So whether you're studying Ayurvedic medicine, bioregulatory medicine, orthomolecular, any of the natural health modalities, you learn that the body needs to always be going through a subtractive process in order to maintain health. That means we need to take out the toxins, take out the bad, and rest the body for a period of time without always adding more. So what we do is we actually blend ancient Ayurvedic principles with state-of-the-art orthomolecular and functional medicine. And that is with our quarterly functional medicine detox. Every single quarter, every 12 weeks with the seasons, we have thousands of people from around the world join us for this functional medicine detox. I've been doing this now for over a decade in my private practice, and I can tell you this, it is the number one thing that I do for myself to work on that aging-based process and everyone in our private practice. And that is because it looks at your body from a holistic standpoint. It is a whole body reset. It doesn't say, oh, go work on autoimmune diseases, go work on blood sugar. No, it actually works on the body from a systemic level. It's working on balancing healthy levels of hormones, healthy levels of inflammation, healthy levels of estrogen dominance, or healthy levels of blood sugar levels. And what it's doing is it's actually going in and scavenging all sorts of bacteria and things that should not be there in your body during that period of rest. And again, it's very scientifically proven and by the book to increase what's called autophagy. It's this cleaning process of the body. It actually is so profound. In 2016, I wrote about this in my book. It won the Nobel Prize in medicine, and that's in oncology and cancer-based work through this process of specific fasting, which we use in this functional medicine detox. So I could go on and on. If you don't know anything about a functional medicine detox, I've actually created a completely free course for you, and that's at equi.life. That's EQUI.life/detox-course. And this week, if you purchase a functional medicine detox and join us April 5th, now you could do yours before or after, that's okay, but we'll be doing it the week of April 5th. And this is our spring detox. Anyone that purchases a functional medicine detox over at EqualLife, we are going to give you a complimentary bottle of our gluten and dairy support. This is a specific enzyme that can be used with not just gluten and wheat-based meals or dairy to help you digest those particular products better, but also used with beans and other vegan-based proteins. It's phenomenal at helping to digest those as well. So this is completely free, a $39.95 value, yours free with any purchase of our 7, 14, or 21-day detox. For anyone, if this is your first functional medicine detox and there are health issues that you do want to work on, or you're looking to lose weight the healthy way, I can't recommend enough that 21-day detox to start. It can be absolutely life-changing. I look forward to joining you myself April 5th. And of course, while supplies last, grab your free gluten and dairy support enzyme at EQUI.life. Take care, everyone.